Hallo, hallo, Kinder, Deutsch 3. Guten Morgen. I want to get into this today about the subjunctive in the past tense. We learned earlier in the year, we used words like würde, and there are a few words I had you learn that were words like wären and hätten, for sure. Those are going to be important today. And we also had a few other words that I wanted you to know in the subjunctive, but we use the helping verb würden a lot to say, because würden means would, W-O-U-L-D. And just so you remember, the subjunctive tense, or it's actually called the subjunctive mood. It's not. It is a tense though. In German, that's called a Konjunktiv. So we say subjunctive, they say Konjunktiv, and subjunctive or conjunctive expresses a wish, desire, or something for something that doesn't exist right now. So things like, I wish I had, $1 million, or if I only could be there right now, or if I would do that, then what would happen? So a lot of if involved, a lot of wishing involved, praying involved, things like that, things that, that express that situation doesn't exist right now. So it's a fairly common use. The two words I had you learn, and we're going to use them a lot here. In fact, in a lot of ways, this is simpler than what we did earlier because just involves two of the words we learned. We learned words like würden and könnten and sollten, and wären and hätten, and there were a few others. We're only going to use two here, and they're going to be used as helping verbs. And one of those is hätten, which is a form of the verb haben. So we'll see how that works here. And then the other one is wären, which is a form of the verb to be, a form of the past tense of sein. Then the past tense is war, and then wären is the subjunctive past tense of that word, and hätten is the subjunctive past tense of haben. So what we're going to do, though, since these two words, haben and sein, or in these forms, hätten and wären, are subjunctive, but they also are the two helping verbs that we use to make the past tense. Let me say that one more time. Not only are these forms of the verb haben and sein in the subjunctive past, but they're also the two verbs that we use to make the past tense. And they're two helping verbs that we use to make past tense. We would say in the present tense, ich habe das gesehen. I have seen that. Du hast das Auto gefunden. Good. Or let's use one with the verb sein. Wir sind später gekommen. We have come later. Die Lehrerin ist spät nach Hause gegangen. So that's ist is a form of sein. Haben is a form of sein. Hat was a form of haben. And so that's how we did in the present tense. Now we're going to take the subjunctive form, hätten or wären, and it has different forms. And if you look in the book on this page, I think it's page one. Let me see real quick. I think it's page 150, but I could be wrong. No, sorry, 158. And you'll see that is you'll see there the different ways that we conjugate hätten and wären. It's a little different than the present tense is done. And then all we do is we use it like we would haben or sein in the perfect tense. I have seen that. You have eaten that. We have watched that movie. But we just use the subjunctive form of haben or sein, and we put the past participle on the end like we always have. And now we change the meaning of the sentence. So if I said, ich habe das gesehen, I have seen that, now I would say, ich hätte das gesehen, which now means I would have seen that. Would have. And I'm going to stick with would. It also could mean I could have seen that in the right context, or maybe even I should have seen that. All three of those words express the subjunctive. Ich hätte das gesehen really takes on quite a few meanings depending on the context. So let's do a couple more. We could say, du hättest den Film gemacht. Yeah, you would have made that film. You could have made that film. You would have made it. You should have made it. Du hättest den Film gemacht. Let's do some with sein, like du wärest pünktlich gewesen. You would have been on time. That's a little tricky because I used du wärest. Well, wärest, like I said, it's a form of sein. And then gewesen is a form of sein, meaning been, B-E-E-N. You would have been on time. Du wärest pünktlich gewesen. Right. So those two verbs, I'm going to have them here at the bottom here so you see them. We're going to use a form of hätten or wären plus the past participle at the end. The past participle, of course, are these words I've been saying, like gefunden, gesehen, gewesen, gemacht, gekauft. Okay, all of those are, they're going to go to the end of the sentence like they always have in the past tense. And this whole tense is called, in German, the Konjunktiv Vergangenheit. We would say the subjunctive past. Here's that word Vergangenheit, which is the word for the past, not just the verb tense, but also when we talk about time, like, oh, back in the past. But Konjunktiv Vergangenheit. So we already learned Konjunktiv last semester, but this is now a different form of it, Konjunktiv Vergangenheit. And so those are the things. Remember, hätten, or a form of wären. Look on page 158 to see which one you use and what category. And the tense is called the Konjunktiv Vergangenheit. All right? Konjunktiv Vergangenheit, or the subjunctive past, however you want to say it. Now, what I gave you on my Kasha to do seems maybe a little bit backwards. It would be more traditional, I guess, to give you some English sentences that say things like, I would have done that, or I would not have done that, or I should have seen that, or I could have been there, and have you translate them into German. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually giving you the German sentence using a form of hätten or wären, as they always will, and a past participle at the end. So it might be gekauft, it might be gesungen, it might be besucht, it might be, getroffen or getragen or geschrieben or geblieben. It could be any of those. And you're going to use hätten or wären to make the helping verb. And just like we've always done with helping verbs, you push the main verb to the end of the sentence. I'm going to try to share my screen real quick and show you something out of the book, something that we're doing here, and then something that we're not going to do as part of this chapter. If we had more time, and if we had face-to-face time, it'd be a lot easier to do that, but I'm just going to leave that for another time. Let me see here. All right, so you're seeing that. Now, this is sometimes where my camera poops out. So if it does, I'm going to page 158. And I don't want you to lose me, but we'll see. This, I don't know. I've got to get a better laptop or something. I don't know. All right. So let me try to show this to you and see if the camera will stay on. So far, so good. Still thinking about it. Okay, so here's where I am in the book, and if, maybe you're already there on page 158, but der Konjunktiv der Vergangenheit, and they give two examples of it here. So actually, I'm just going to kind of leave it. I feel like if I make it full screen, that's where it usually drops out on me. So they give two examples here on the first page of the description of this thing. And right here, see that now? It pooped out on me. Let me see if I can do it again. Doesn't like this. Let's try maybe this. No. For some reason, it just doesn't like when I do that. That was no good. It looks like all right. Anyway, if you have your book open to 158, or if you don't, then go ahead and take a look at it and see the, it had those two pictures at the top of 158. The one on the left is the kind of subjunctive past we're going to be talking about. The other one involves using a modal as well, and that's a fairly complicated tense. That's actually I don't know that's a different tense, but it just involves a quite a bit higher level, and it's something that you do hear, but not as common as what we're learning here. It's not like it's unheard of. But so please look at the picture on the left. I think it says "Ich hätte nie gedacht." Ich hätte nie, and it has a little bit longer sentence, but "Ich hätte nie gedacht," maybe comma, and it goes on. I would have never thought something. I forget what it said after that. But let's just stick with that, because our exercise today is just going to be, that could be a sentence. Ich hätte nie gedacht. And that would translate, your answer would be, I would have never thought. Now notice that what we're doing in the translation is we're saying would have. I would have never thought. Or if you want to say just, I would have thought. Ich hätte gedacht. Yeah, but if you want to throw in more adverbs and all that, that's fine. Ich hätte gedacht. I would have thought. And that's something we say all the time. But in German, would have can be put into one word, hätte, or a form of hätten. Or if it's a sein verb, wären, a form of wären, like you see at the bottom of the screen there. So the use of the verb and or the type of verb it is, whether it's a haben verb or sein verb, that dictates are you going to use hätten or wären, or a form of hätten or wären. And then the past participle is the same past participle that we've been learning since, I think, early in German 2. So that hasn't changed any. And I think we just went over those recently for something else that we did maybe in the, gosh, was it the last chapter? Maybe. This is all starting just to blur together, isn't it? Oh man. Well, we'll all get through it. Okay. So there's 10 sentences there on the doc. Please make a copy of that document and then share it back with me. Please don't copy and paste it into Google Translate and everything. You might get some weird responses. And if you are writing anything other than would have as the translation in English, then I'm giving you a big hint there. If you're writing anything other than would have after the subject, then you're probably off base. because it could translate as could have or should have or something else like that in those other subjunctive tenses. But I want you to keep it just as would have, just to keep it consistent for right now. All right. So that's the assignment. Feel free to read what the book says on 158 if this is confusing to you. I hope that doesn't make it more confusing, but look and see what the book says there about those things. It's pretty straightforward, but it actually is a pretty advanced verb tense. I would have actually using 3 verbs in one sentence. And at least as it translates into English, we are. I would have gone, let's say. Now in German, it gets condensed down just to 2 because hätten or wären translates as 2 words, would have. Or again, could have or should have, but let's stick with would have. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say. I'm repeating myself. I'll let you get to work on those 10 sentences. Again, please don't use any translator. Just go in and look at them. You know the words. If you need to, to look up a word, that's fine. I understand. But don't just copy and paste the sentences into some kind of translator. That's no good. Okay, so ich wünsche euch einen schönen Tag noch. Turn this back into me today if possible. I guess I'll take it as late as tomorrow by class time. Or sorry, let's say Thursday. But if you can get it back to me today, that would be great. I'm trying to keep up with grading. I think I've got most of your grades caught up except for the test. Don't forget, we have a vocabulary quiz am Freitag. Yeah, so the Quizlet is on my Cache. So please be sure you take a look at that today and keep looking at it until Freitag. Normally, when we have normal class, we have time to go over it every day, but that's a little harder to do here and just takes more time out of it. I don't like to talk the whole time and let you guys do some of the work. So I'm going to go ahead and post that now on my Cache, and it'll be up there just in a few minutes, and you can get started on it. Okay, Kinder, auf Wiedersehen. I hope everyone's doing fine. Everyone's healthy. I hope your families are healthy. And yeah, we got how much longer? Yeah, a couple of weeks or so. We'll be getting through this good. All right. Tschüss und auf Wiedersehen. Ciao.